Greetings and salutations, Dorman listeners. We are back with a brand new episode.
Brand new view.
Brand new view. I don't know if you noticed the view, but
brand new filming equipment.
Because of VIP pass to this guy here for getting a brand new phone.
Yeah, so
what is it called?
This is the Samsung Galaxy Fold 4. So we'll see how it works.
But if you didn't know, now you know.
If you don't know, now you know.
Well, hey, brand new episode. I'm Evangelist.
Steven in the building.
So there is plenty going on in the world.
So much.
But
most of it we don't want to talk about because it's just pointless.
Pointless nonsense. Why? You know, we'll definitely get into why there's a lot of pointless nonsense and why we should just ignore the shit out of it. But first, we want to highlight the things that we choose to shine that spotlight on.
Mm-hmm.
First off, VIP pass goes to Coach Todd Bowles of Tampa Bay. This man is working his way up.
And it has nothing to do with him having Tom Brady and FTB, which stands for Fuck Tom Brady. But he gets a VIP pass for
horrible hate right
being.
there.
No,
that is hatred.
It's not hatred.
I mean, come on, you can't.
Let's get into this.
Stamp on the goat that
Let's
way.
get into this,
all right?
So we can talk about why I hate Tom Brady.
So Todd Bowles, when pressed by the woke press to highlight his differences in color between himself and a lot of the other NFL coaches, he just stamped it out like a used cigarette.
Yep.
He said something to the effect of, if you guys are making us seem like oddballs as it is because you're using
we can play it for the folks.
We can.
You can actually hit play right now.
What if we are playing it and it's not exactly where we want? We're just going to play you the audio.
I have a very good relationship with Tomlin. We don't look at what color we are when we coach against each other. We just know.
Big one. That's a big one.
Don't look at color
because most
when we coach
people,
against each other.
Most people don't. It's not the first thing you look for is matching skin color or matching backgrounds or whatever. And the question was, I don't know if you could hear the question. The question was, how are you and Mike Tomlin, the other black coach in the league, how are you guys, what's your relationship like, and how are you feeling for, I don't remember his other name, but there's somebody else that's going to get an opportunity to head coach in NFL who's also black, what he feels like. So that was the first part, and here is the rest.
Yeah, I have a lot of very good white friends that coach in this league as well, and I don't think it's a big deal as far as us coaching against each other. I think it's normal. Wilkes got an opportunity to do a good job. Hopefully he does it. And we coach ball. We don't look at color.
But you also understand that representation matters too, right? And that when young aspiring coaches or even football players, they see you guys, they see someone that looks like them, maybe grew up like them, that has to mean something.
Well, when you say you see you guys and look like them and grow up like them, means that we're oddballs to begin with. And I think the minute you guys start making a big deal about it, everybody else will as well.
So,
kudos to that man.
Pause this shit. There we
go.
So the question was given to him by a white reporter saying they, them, they look up to somebody who grew up like them. I don't even understand the balls you have to ask that question. Like, that has nothing to do with the football game.
Right. I mean, in the spirit of inclusivity, because that's what these woke people look to express their inclusivity. But while doing so, you're segregating yourself from someone who looks different, because you're constantly acknowledging that you're a them, you're a they, and us, and it. So all of this virtue signaling, guys, thumbs down. big VIP pass to
Huge.
Coach Todd Bowles,
Todd Bowles.
because he's got big balls.
Yeah.
Hey, kudos to that guy, man.
Yep.
I wish to celebrate more people like you, brother. Man, we need a lot of people to kind of stamp down this nonsense that's going on, because that's, all of these the smoke and mirror show that this woke press and everyone getting into this show.
It's just like they're looking for something. It's like you dig and you poke and you prod to get a reaction out of somebody that's hopefully going to be combustible, so then you can report on that. But I don't know what they were expecting him to say. Like, I'm sure they wanted him to say there needs to be more black coaches,
Right.
and more black owners and all this stuff. And yeah, maybe there should be, but I mean, right now there's not. So why is that? Why is that the biggest issue in the NFL? Like,
And what I want to highlight is in an activity like football or a professional sport, there's so much focus going on the actual activity, on the actual act of coaching, the actual act of playing, that there's just enough to sink your mind into without all that nonsense, right?
That's what I'm saying. There's just so much more than, like, when you break it down to you're a black coach and he's a black coach and you're coaching against each other. What does that feel like? What does that mean to him being a coach first? Because he's not seeing him as a black head coach in the league. He's a head coach in the National Football League. He doesn't go home and say, I'm one of the 2 black head coaches in the league. Clearly by his statements, he said he has a lot of white friends in the league too, but nobody wants to even think about that, because that is the inclusivity right there.
Right.
That right there brings everybody together. They don't want that. They want to drive a wedge, and they want to do all this bullshit to consistently bring up race. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Morgan Freeman, Denzel Washington, now Todd Bowles, 3 black men saying the second you stop talking about it, being the media and anybody else involved in this circle of let's get rid of racism shit, but you never stop talking about it. Ever. We're talking about it right now.
Yeah. So back to us.
So we're out of that one.
Yeah, no more
So
of that.
moving on again with the NFL, with my explanation of why I dislike Tom Brady so much. Has nothing to do, obviously he's a good quarterback. He's got the rings.
Come on, go.
He's got the hot, potentially ex-wife now.
Who's
but-
worth more than him? Crazy.
Used to be.
I mean,
This dude signed a $350 million deal with Fox to be a broadcaster before he's a broadcaster.
Wow.
I hope he goes on camera and he just can't speak. That'd be amazing. That'd be great.
He just develops
Like he's got to be bad at one thing, right?
Uh,
Like he's got to be bad. I mean,
no.
he's clearly bad at marriage. But anyway,
You would say that.
so anyway, I mean, hey,
Jesus Christ. this guy.
So he, against the Falcons last week, Falcons sacked him. And this is a defensive lineman who his whole career, his whole playing career, is just designed to destroy the quarterback, right? Sack the quarterback. He wrapped him up and he kind of rolled him and he threw him, and they threw a flag roughing the passer, and that killed Atlanta. They could have won the game. They stopped him on 4th, I think. And they could have got the ball back and possibly could have won. That flag right there, because it was Brady, ended Atlanta's chance to come back to win that game. And you say, oh, you're just saying that because it's Tom Brady. Maybe. Pick any other game that happened. Many quarterbacks got thrown through the ground, and no flags came out.
Wait a minute. There was a situation with the Chiefs and the
Hold on. He was sacked, and they said they threw the flag because he landed on him.
Right,
Which is again,
that was the stupidest call I'd ever heard.
that was
His full
worse.
body weight.
That was worse than Brady.
Right.
But the thing is the ball came out, and Chris Jones,
Right.
and he was holding it, so he was the ball carrier at that point.
But they cited the fact that he landed with his full body weight or
Yeah,
he tackled him.
but he didn't. He had his hand
That's
down,
the
his leg
stupid-
down.
That's the stupidest thing ever.
But anyway, I mean, the Chiefs still won.
what do you want?
and,
You want to massage him on the way down?
and the Raiders are 1-4. But anyway, let's not talk about the Raiders. I don't want to. I don't want to rip on the Raiders too much because
No, you can't, man, 'cause-
But
I mean, walk
so-
away with a one point win. 1 point.
what does that? What does that even mean, Evan?
I don't know. I mean,
What does that even mean?
I mean, can you
Again,
can't-
we talked
you
about
really
this
can't-
off camera. You want to bring it up? We're going to bring it up. The Raiders
really
were up
can't be proud of that
17.
win.
Raiders were up 17-0. What?
All right.
What'd you say?
You're right. You're right. Absolutely.
17-0. And this guy and the other homie, No Way. Well, No Way didn't start it. He started it. He said, "Hey, No Way, if the Raiders win, you got to talk that shit." Fair enough. Talk the shit if the Raiders won.
Did I bring that up?
You did.
I did not
You
bring
were
that
the
up. Go back to the transcripts, brother.
What? You have your phone.
Yeah.
Bring it up.
Go back to the transcripts.
So anyway, as he's looking up because he's got a terrible memory, Raiders
not
ended up
my
losing
memory's
the
terrible,
game.
guys. Here.
And what I said
we
was,
shall see.
you spoke too soon. Did I not say that?
Yeah, I didn't bring it up. Then.
Oh,
Just letting you know.
That's what we call dead air.
Here it goes.
Hey, oh. Nope.
Oh. Not me, buddy.
What is that? Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Look what day that is. That's golf, bro.
Wait.
No worries, man.
Oh, right here. Bam. There it
Uh-huh.
goes. There it goes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Who's that?
Uh-huh. No
Who's
way.
that?
No way.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wasn't me.
Okay, my fault. No way brought
Yeah.
it up. So here we go,
Who's
No
me?
way. I'm gonna light you up and I
Whoa, whoa,
tried.
whoa, 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 whoa.
I apologize.
That wasn't.
I apologize.
That wasn't the purpose for this.
I apologize.
You know, we've got to take ownership of our
I do.
memories,
I do.
right? Accountability is
And
what
he-
we're all about here, guys.
Yep.
Right?
I take full
So it wasn't
responsibility.
about, it wasn't about bringing you up in the way.
I take full
You're awesome.
responsibility. But Noe brought it up on the text message, so
No.
spoke too soon. And then
Listen,
and
guys.
then both of you went quiet.
At one point, Victor.
I don't even know what the fuck that
You're right. You're right. I mean, it's a victory. A win is a win is a win. I get it, but I mean, I wouldn't be, having a parade over this.
Did I say anything about a parade? I didn't say nothing. All I'm saying is we were down 17-0, and here comes the fucking spoke too soon,
Not from
brother.
me, though.
You spoke too soon. Not from you. And since we're doing the whole movie line thing, I'll give you a movie line. It doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning. So we're 4-1. They're 1-4. And now Devontae Adams.
I'm a Chargers fan, guys.
All of a sudden.
I jumped on the Chargers bandwagon, guys. Come on. Here we go.
And you want to go memory? I think before the season started, you said you're going to be a Rams fan.
No.
I said no.
No.
Oh,
There
my
you
God.
go, bro.
Did you not say?
I said there were going to be two possibilities of potential to jump on either the Rams or the Chargers.
And the Rams just happened to be in the Super Bowl.
Right.
And I said, you can't be a Rams
Right.
fan now.
You can't be a Rams fan now. You said, and then I said, you're right. I said I was going to jump on that Chargers bandwagon.
Right.
Because they were
Junior
the
Seau?
one. No, because they were the one team that actually played in my city. I'm from Carson. They played in Carson. So, therefore, I jumped on the
There we
bandwagon.
go. Anyway.
Chargers.
So they're still in second, but it doesn't matter. So it happened in the Chiefs game. It happened in the Broncos game. It happened in the Falcons Tampa Bay game. The bottom line is the league now is trying to cover their ass with quarterbacks because of what happened to Tua. Last name?
Tagovailoa.
I'm gonna do that every time. I can't say that. So now they're being overcautious of a position they were already overcautious with. My solution: take the pads off the quarterback, and if you touch him, the play's over.
You know what? It seems that ridiculous, though.
It's almost
It
there.
absolutely seems that ridiculous. If play touch football,
I mean, you gotta look at quarterbacks like Elway, Marino,
right?
even farther back, Terry Bradshaw,
Right.
Jim McMahon on the Bears. That guy, I think, is blind in both eyes because he got hit so hard.
Right.
And
And the amount of what is that cortisone? Is it
Yeah.
the cortisone shots? Or is that what that's called?
cortisone, yeah, cortisone.
The amount of cortisone shots that those guys had to
Just
inject
to
just
walk.
to play the game,
Just to walk.
just to feel comfortable, right? Walking and doing like day-to-day things.
And now
It's
you can't
bananas.
even. Now you can't. If you're
Now you can't touch it.
if you're on a defense and you're playing Tampa and
Now
you're
you've
looking
got to
across
call
at number 12, you just bet your ass if you touch him, you're gonna get a flag.
Now you've got to give him a hug.
Yep.
Okay? Tugging.
And you got to be emotional too because he's going through a difficult time at home, so
Right,
you can't
right.
really hit him that hard. And blah blah blah.
Coddle your quarterback.
Yeah. So anyway, the bottom line is the league is being overprotective of a position they were already being way too soft with. But it's not league wide. It seems like it's like certain quarterbacks. Josh Allen got his ass dusted one time last week too, I think, and they didn't throw a flag.
Well, I mean, just to be fair, that Jones,
Chris Jones.
and Carr situation, you know, they were kind of coddling that guy too.
Yeah.
I think that was a
But I'm
super
just
coddling.
saying it's not league wide. Like you're not gonna that flag's not gonna happen for Trubisky on the Steelers or
right. Only
or-
high profile quarterbacks.
Yeah, of course.
Is that what you're saying?
But not even like. Well, I guess Mahomes is protected too.
Come
I can't say
on,
that.
Mahomes is protected.
But you can't stop him because he's like a little jackrabbit.
dude, the guy's got. But you know, how long is that gonna last?
Doesn't matter as long maybe 7 more years of his 10-year contract.
7?
Mm-hmm.
I'd say 3.
If he ain't getting touched, bro, what do you mean?
Dude, I'd say 3.
Nah, you're a Chargers fan. You don't know nothing.
I'd say 3 years. Try. Yeah, come on.
Next topic. We're done-
Prototypical quarterback,
Oh, here we go.
Justin Herbert. Prototype of a real quarterback. A guy who can sit in the pocket, assess his situation, sling it down the field. Come on.
And almost lose to Cleveland.
Enough said. Anyway, moving on.
Almost lose to Cleveland.
Didn't.
Cleveland.
A win is a win.
Hey.
Is a win.
Are
is a win.
you excited about a 2-point victory? You're gonna throw a parade.
Not excited.
You're gonna throw a
but
parade.
hey, I'm just gonna throw it right back at you.
Here's the deal. Like, all,
Whether it's
like
by a mile,
like,
an inch.
all the Raider
Huh?
fans that I know, with the exception of Noe, he didn't get happy with the Jacksonville debacle, but Jacksonville beat the Raiders. Jacksonville has 3 wins, I think, in the past 13 years, and one of them is against the Raiders.
Oh shit.
But anyway, so
Hey, you know what? We'll get off of sports.
Yeah.
Right. Well.
although the Dodgers are playing right now, and the fact that this is being recorded should show the people my dedication
Commitment.
to this episode.
we are very committed to this dormant project.
I thought about being like, hey, bro, can we together?
Come on. By the time we get off, it'll be like bottom of the second.
No, bro, it's already started. It'll be the 6th by the time we're
No
done.
way.
Dodgers be up 10-2, hopefully. So next topic.
Arms crossed.
Next topic. The absolute degeneration of America's youth.
You know, we do shit on America's youth a
Well,
lot.
I mean, they deserve to be shit on. Let's be for real.
Yeah, well, I think every generation the youth is shit on. I know
Well-
in our generation we were shit on. Generation X.
But what were we shit on for?
I mean, kind of the stupidity that we were about. You know, we went through that whole NWA, fuck the police era. I mean, we went through.
True, but it was more
You
of a
know-
statement than actual walking up to a cop that's be like, you know, maybe standing on a corner and just shooting him because he's a cop.
No.
Right?
Well, you know, I think back then it was different. Like this is prior to body cams on police officers. So there was a lot of things that police officers used to get away with back in the days that nowadays, you know, they won't be able to get away with.
Well, right, but they don't even want to try anymore
Yeah.
because there's no point in trying to do your
I mean,
job.
how isolated of a situation was that Rodney King back in '91, right? When Rodney King got his ass whooped by the isolated incident wasn't the fact that he got his ass whooped, but the fact that someone was ready with a camera. That was the isolated incident, right? Somebody was ready with a camera to
Well,
videotape this.
I don't know if somebody was ready or just happened to be filming because he was. I think that video that we've all seen starts halfway through the ass whooping.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But terrible incident.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have happened. But also, you shouldn't have ran. And
Yeah.
you shouldn't have been on drugs.
Shouldn't have been
and
on
you
PCP.
shouldn't have been fighting the cops.
Yeah.
It's the bottom line. Sounds harsh and I'm an asshole, but you know what? Whatever. I'm an asshole. I've dealt with it. I've gotten over it.
Yeah.
I'm an asshole. I'll be an asshole. But this is going to be a stretch, and this might be controversial, but this is what I do. There's not much difference between what happened with Rodney King and what happened with
George Floyd.
George Floyd.
Okay.
The end result, extreme difference. But I'm not comparing the two, and I'm not saying one's better than the other or worse than the other or whatever. I'm just saying the base, the root of the problems were the same. They just happen to be two black men that were fighting the cops, resisting arrest, on drugs or not of right.
I'm going to play some
mind.
devil's advocate here.
Of course you are. I was waiting for it.
So I'm gonna play the devil's advocate, right? So as a police officer, right, you are very different from the people you are in these two cases, the people you're pursuing. You are held to a higher standard of existence, right? So as a police officer, you are supposedly more disciplined. You are much more cognitive, right? Because you're not on drugs at the time. So there's your awareness level should be at a heightened state.
Sure.
So in these situations, once you've had, like in the George Floyd situation where, they had their knee, he was down, he was still squirming, whatever the case was, that excessive knee on the neck, it was a little too much.
How did we get to this topic?
No, but I'm saying, we're playing devil's advocate.
How did we get? I forgot how we even got here. We were talking
got
about
here because
the degeneration of the youth.
The degeneration of youth, and we went through our fuck the police situation.
Sometimes the rabbit hole even confuses us.
Yeah. So we have to dive in, right? So me playing devil's advocate, you're held to a higher standard being a police officer. Problem is, we don't realize, we don't take into consideration how the human factor, right? Humans, when given power, we tend to, because we're in the same, we did the same kind of enforcement regulation kind of situation with being bouncers, right? We're given power, right? So we at these moments, at specific moments, during circumstances and situations, we could take advantage of that shit.
Right.
We could ruin somebody's night,
Yeah.
right? And in the case of the police, you could ruin someone's life, right? So you're held to a higher standard than the crooks. So or and the thieves and the drug addicts that you're pursuing or chasing down or beating or subduing or whatever it is you're doing at the time. So that is where that kind of fuck you to authority comes. I don't, as a grown up, I know the difference now. As a person in my 40s, I know the difference. Steve is absolutely correct. If we abide by the law, if we communicate to an officer in the way that acknowledges their position, then everything's going to be just fine, right? Mm-hmm. That's the game that's the perfect game that we all should play.
Right.
But unfortunately, that's not what always happens. And then so policemen are presented with these opportunities. They're presented with these opportunities to subdue, enforce excessively, right? And then so in these two situations, we can say that these police officers, or at least one or two of them in each group or in each incident, absolutely did become a little excessive with their...
Well, Rodney King, there was 4 of them that went excessive. And they were beating his ass with those nightsticks, man. Which is, again,
right?
Terrible.
Horrible.
And again, not saying that it should have happened,
right.
Not saying that it was right, Not saying that, he got what he deserved. The bottom line is he got jumped by 4 cops that were tired of running after him or chasing him in whatever car or on foot, whatever happened.
And
they lost control.
They lost control, absolutely.
And they I believe they got away with it. I believe they were acquitted, right?
Yeah. And that's what brought about the riots of 92.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And then Reginald Denny gets yanked out of a truck and a cinder block busted over his head.
Oh my God. That was horrible.
Reginald,
he was a fellow truck driver.
Reginald, all of a sudden. All of a sudden, you're in the trucking brotherhood.
The truck brotherhood. Hey. Hey, you know what? Me, Smokey, and the Bandit, we're all
Do you have a
yeah,
I didn't
no
think so.
CDs, buddy.
man? So the unfortunate thing is that the I guess the aftermath of both situations were met with more violence.
Yeah.
And the George Floyd riots and all that stuff cost, I think, $66 million to fix and rebuild, and I know you don't want to bring it up, but that's a lot more money than a certain day in January. But anyway,
Yeah.
so I guess the point is that when we were growing up, the idea of fuck the police and all that shit was more, at least for me. I didn't grow up where he grew up. I grew up in Fountain Valley, so I didn't see a cop till I was 18. But I heard the song, I heard the music. I've been this way since I was, I don't know, maybe 15. Chip on my shoulder, FTW, which is fuck the world.
Don't ask me for shit.
Yeah. So, but for me, it was more of a just kind of repeating the song and like a mentality almost. But if I saw a cop, I knew exactly what not to do, and it wasn't going to be run, and it wasn't going to be you can't do this and you can't do that, because at one point the badge, regardless of their interaction with me or their attitude or their shitty behavior, the badge still was the badge.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
It still had some sort of authority and some sort of meaning to it. Now, that's a target. I feel like the badge is just a target
Yeah.
for how bad you can. Now, it almost like the cops became the criminals and the criminals became the ones that hand out judgments,
Right.
which is
Right.
obviously
Which is stupidity.
just backwards.
Yeah.
But
Because there's definitely a great percentage of the population who absolutely need the protection of the police.
Oh, 100%. Because again, if you come home and there's somebody in your house, you're not calling the fire department.
No.
You're not calling the military, and you're damn sure ain't calling your neighbor, unless your neighbor happens to be a cop.
I'll be calling the coroner.
Yep. Well, you and me are different type of animals.
I mean, not because we're better than anyone, but I don't know. We definitely believe in the self-governing, right? We definitely believe that the government locally, federally, it's there as an assistant. It should be there not as a primary reliance, right? So people always ask me, what's your angle? What the hell, what is this? What are you guys always talking about? Whatever it is you talk about on the Dorman, that's the angle.
We value the thought process.
You value the thought process because self-governance is where it's at.
Mm-hmm. So
That's why I regularly scheduled.
back to the
rant.
the absolute disintegration of America's youth.
Yeah, back to that.
There's a kid at work,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll just go. His initials are Grant. I told him I was going to call him out by name. There's a song. Now, granted, he's young. He's 24. But I will tell you this. When I was 24, I knew who older singers, artists, songwriters, I know who they were because of how it was brought up, because it was playing. There was a song playing on the radio at work, and we were working, and I asked him, "Hey, Grant, who sings this song?" And he said, "Quicker Than You, Whatever You Think, The Temptations." Now you might think, oh, good song. Nope. James Brown was on the phone, on the speaker, and I lost my shit for a second. I was like, what? And he said, well, I heard it on TikTok, and I lied. I had to walk away. I'm like, okay.
Wait. So let's clarify why you lost it.
Because
is it because it was available to him on TikTok, or?
Well, it's because the fact that a song by James Brown, I mean, you could hear James Brown's song in a Burger King. I would have heard him say, "Oh, I heard that on a Burger King commercial." Would have been better than TikTok.
But you know, again, in devil's advocate, in Grant's defense, we're more familiar with the Temptations, with James Brown, with who does this guy listen to? Dua
Bro,
Lipa?
if he would have said,
I think old school to him is Justin Bieber.
if he would have said somebody like, if he would have said Bieber,
Old school to that guy is.
I'd have been
Demi
like,
Lovato.
oh, but he went to the Temptations, who we all know was a little bit before and also during James Brown time.
Sure.
He didn't say anything
Well, I think
like,
James Brown was like, oh, they were all in the same Motown
okay,
era.
you just proved my
just
point.
different.
You just proved my point.
Yeah, but just different.
He didn't say somebody current. He didn't say, oh, that was Wiz Khalifa. He didn't say anything like that. He said
He
the
attempted
Temptations.
to stay in the same era.
Bro, your devil's advocate is a stretch. It's an absolute stretch.
Got your back, Grant.
So
Hey, you know what? Good guess.
yeah, I told him good guess, but so the thing is that I think that the way you and I used to get our information, our lack of a better word, knowledge when we were younger,
Right.
was nothing short of doing our own research
We had to.
or finding it on our own.
We
Libraries.
absolutely had to. Right.
I haven't seen an
Cassette tapes.
encyclopedia in 20 years.
In order to hear a James Brown versus a Temptation, we had to have both of those different both of those artists' cassette tapes or vinyl or right.
And what about this? Remember when you used to listen to the radio and wait for a song to come on and hit record on your,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and then you just have to hit pause when the DJ started talking.
Right.
Now you want a song, you can just
Yeah. I mean, you know what? But it sounds like we're hating.
Yeah.
We're hating on the convenience that is presented to.
well,
today's youth.
I'm actually hating on the fact that it's so commonly used as a form of information and knowledge and
Right.
news,
Right.
and it's really like one-sided,
Sure.
obviously.
Obviously.
Because the machine, as you call it,
Yeah.
is moving forward to get everybody woke, and everybody's
Well,
got to be
it's moving forward to get everybody on one page, and it's not a truthful page.
right. Which woke is not truthful.
No.
It's not at all. And
It-
Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, man, it's just it's so convenient to be able to talk to an uncle that lives in Seattle or talk to your aunts that live in Denver. But I have their numbers, so if I want to call them, I'm going to call them. So, there was another post. Ironically enough, I saw it on Instagram, but it makes sense.
You watch Instagram?
Instagram. This guy said Instagram is a
You are
lie.
peering through Instagram.
Instagram is a lie. Because he said it's only a lie because we only post the good. We post our successes, we post our accomplishments, new cars, new houses, new babies, but you don't post the fact that you were broke for 6 months before you got that car. You had to work 3 jobs to get that house. You tried 6 times to have a baby. Nobody posts the negative. And if you do post the negative, then you're, I would say you're overly honest and a true person. That's what I would say.
Let's jump into that hole. Because
Let's go.
we spoke about something along these lines before we started recording, right? So history, right? History is the version of the past told by the victim, right? Therefore it was called his story, right?
Ooh,
So
what about her story?
or her story, whatever it is, if you're woke, her story too.
Their story.
Okay, their story. Okay, all the story.
Zizek's story.
Compilation of stories, Zers and Zims. So
Zim's story.
that was, these stories were told, and each of these stories were kind of like laid out, and the space between them were pretty,
Right.
there was space between them. Now today in this with this tool that we're shitting on, history, herstory, theirstory, zimstory, it's being compiled on us, It's being intensely slapped on us constantly.
Right.
This information is being shoved down our mouths, our throats, into our ears, into our noses every single day, right? And it's overwhelming. It can be absolutely overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
It's as a matter of fact, they're showing studies. There's studies about how overwhelming the different social media platforms have become. It's responsible for mental illness in teenagers, in the youth, in people in general, right? People are just being driven crazy because of the constant bombardment of all of this information every single day. We're plugged in every minute of the day, and it has become a problem.
As you watch this on YouTube.
As you watch this on YouTube. So what do we do? What's your suggestion as far as what it is what to do about this? Youth.
I mean, I don't.
You're speaking directly to youth.
I mean, I'd say grow the fuck up.
Okay, and do what specifically? Give me some directives.
You'd have to break the cycle.
And do what?
When you don't look at your fucking phone and go jogging. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
No. I mean, instead of so we know what we don't want to see from
Right.
youth.
Read a
right?
book.
Read a book.
Read a book.
I think the act of
And
going
don't read a
and
book
finding that
on your goddamn phone.
Right. The act of going out to the library and finding that book. Go to a bookstore, right? And in those activities of going to the library, going to the bookstore, interacting with other people who are not sitting behind a screen,
Yeah.
it does something for you.
Yep.
Right? Interacting with people is an absolute gift. And I definitely think a lot of young people are missing out.
It's also a science
Sure.
because either you can or you can't, right?
Sure.
Because you can tell people who are, I mean, there's the term socially awkward for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call my ability to talk to strangers annoying, but I don't.
I'm definitely weird when it comes to talking to strangers. I'm super weird, right? Like I try to talk to people that I have business talking to, right? Like I was, growing up where I'm from, right? We didn't just walk on the street and like, hey, how you doing? We didn't do that, right? I didn't develop that need to do that until I was like well into my late 20s and 30s, right? We had business, like, if we were walking down the street and we saw another dude and you made eye contact, most likely it was that, because we were playing on the streets.
What's happening, blood? That kind
What's
of
happening? Where you from? You know what I
Right.
mean? This is where I'm from. I'm from whoa. And then, so it was kind of weird in that way, right?
Right.
So when you were out there not playing on the streets, then, maybe you were at a job or you were working or, you had business speaking to a certain dude or a certain woman, then it was you had business. You had a reason. There was a purpose in that interaction.
Right.
And then if there wasn't no purpose in that interaction, you just didn't do it. So I kind of carried that on into my life. You know what I mean?
So me on the mean streets of Fountain Valley. And maybe it's just how I was raised, who I was raised by, but it's like, hi, how are you? How's your day going? I mean, on the streets, I wasn't walking down the streets like walking to school, but saying hello to every fucking person I passed. But if there was, like you say, if there was business, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're at a store, and the person that I'm gonna give you a throwback. The cashier at Warehouse Music.
Damn. You
It's-
Sam Goodies?
Sam Goody, Virgin. Remember that one?
All these throwbacks.
Man. So you you give them what you're buying. They're not there to just be your bitch at that point.
Right.
You can be like, hey, how's your day? My grandpa's so good at it. So good at I mean, it's basically
Shout out to Frank.
It's bullshitting with people.
VIP
And
pass
he,
to Frank.
he's the probably the best bullshitter I know. Cause he talk to anybody about anything. Like the whole thing when the waitress puts the thing down on the table, when I say I don't want that, that's my grandpa's. Oh, I didn't order that. That's my grandpa.
That's,
Or, because one time, I don't give a shit if I'm 70 and I do it, and the waitress says, I'll buy your dinner tonight. Then it worked. 70 years of practice.
I imagine that happening, you in a diner, having pie and a coffee, and then at the end of the pie and coffee, that happens.
Yeah.
Waitress comes over there, brings you that, and she pays for it. That's what I imagine it happening.
Yeah, it'd be good, but I don't want like a $7 tab cover. I want like a
But yeah, I doubt it's going to be anything
like a
more than
dinner at Morton's. You don't think it's that good? No.
Yeah.
But I've had things like there's this where I get musubi for lunch by
Okay.
work. The lady who owns the restaurant will always bring me, what's that ice cream? Frozen ice cream? Gnocchi?
Mochi?
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 That's what it is. Whatever the fuck it is. She'll bring me like a tray of it and be like, "Oh, here you came in again." Oh.
What?
Yep. Because I talk to her, I don't just say get my musubi and don't say a word. And I watch people, like the people in front of me and the people behind me. Like if you're not interacting with that person, they should have every right to spit in your fucking salad. They don't, but
I have got to apologize because I need to be more like Steven in that era, in that area.
I mean,
I need to be more outgoing in that.
when I'm with people, people are just like this all the time. Oh my god, this guy. But you know what? I look at it like this way. I'm either gonna see this person again and they're gonna give me mochi
Mochi?
or whatever.
Right.
Or I'm never gonna see that person again, and I don't give two shits. That's why I can karaoke when I'm sober, because I don't need to be drunk, because I don't give a fuck what people think.
I can karaoke when I'm sober, but I'll have more fun 5 beers in.
Yeah, 5 years in and fly me to the moon.
Yeah.
Every time.
Fly me
There
to
it is.
the moon. Anyway, we'll save that for another day. Celsius.
That one tastes like shit.
Well, this one didn't taste too bad. Peach vibe.
God. Tastes like suntan lotion.
But I'll tell you what tastes even better.
Adult beverages.
Michelob Ultra.
The mule. That's what we call it. In the bar world, that's called the mule. When somebody comes to the bar and says, "Can I have 2 mules?" They're not talking about the Moscow mules. That's the real mule right there.
I went through a period where it was Moscow mules all the time.
Trendy.
Yeah. Well,
Saw it on social media.
wife didn't like it.
Yeah, well, she's intelligent. So anyway, back to the youth. They're just as Evan said, they're just inundated with whatever the flavor of the month.
Yeah,
right?
overwhelmed, bombarded.
Just absolutely bamboozled.
Yeah.
With all of it.
Yeah.
And as Evan said, it's one side of the story. It's rare if the video they're watching on TikTok is 60 seconds, and 30 seconds it was one side, and 30 seconds is the other side.
Why don't you think it's a popular trend to share your tragedies?
Well, I don't think people like to be vulnerable,
Okay.
or people like to seem, weak, for lack of a better word.
Let's jump down that rabbit hole. What if we as human beings, what if our mode of operation was we took in information and then we created scenarios for ourselves, whether good or bad, right? And then so whatever scenarios we create in our minds is what becomes real in our future, right? So like we take in information.
Metaphysical.
Yeah, right. So in that way, right? So we take in information, and then we either utilize that information to motivate ourselves, right? So it's like a fight or flight type situation, right? We either motivate ourselves to push to getting something, or we develop a fear because of what we'd seen,
Right.
and then we are stunted from going any further, right? But what if that's the case, right? So what kind of information should we be digesting or ingesting?
I'd say if there's a topic or something that you're passionate about, read up on it,
Okay.
and don't just don't get your one piece of information from TikTok or Instagram. There's certain topics that we look at before we start filming this. You could look at stories on Google or whatever comes up. What is this? Mediaite. And certain news outlets or media outlets you could tell the tone of the story just by the little headline they give you on the website. Like if it's MSNBC and the first thing is, you know, Trump in trouble again, it's just like, what the fuck does that even matter anymore?
Let it go.
Like, yeah, seriously.
It's been like
it's
like
like
2.5 years.
yeah. But then you look at like that
Let
same outlet
it
saying
go.
Biden approval rating up, and you're just like, what the fuck? Where? Not to get political,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you know,
We don't
God
wanna
forbid
get
we
political.
talk about that. You bunch of
Please.
babies. But anyway, you have to look at both sides, because you know it's like Columbus, right? For the longest time, he was a hero. He was an explorer, conqueror, whatever you want to call him. And then now, since there's been all this time in between it to dissect what he did and dissect how he did it, now they want to like somehow dig him up, tie him to a rope, and lynch him because he's a murderous, rampaging rapist.
And we get it. I get it, right? I get it. No one discovered America, right? No one discovered it. People were already here. We get it. We get it. There were an indigenous group that had been here for thousands of years. I get it, right? But
Thousands?
yeah, thousands. Yeah, thousands of years. These groups have been here, thousands of years. So there was one belief that there was a barren Bering Strait that connected Upper Asia with Alaska, right? And there was a belief that there was a migration along that strait, and that's where the indigenous people had come from. So they were originally Asian, and they migrated over, and then after a certain amount of time that washed away, it flooded in floods and whatnot. So there was a belief that was the case, right? That they had migrated, and because there's a lot of similarities in bloodline between Asians, indigenous what was it, Native Americans, indigenous people here. Yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
The Mohawks,
Yeah, Apache, Navajo, all
Mohicans.
that. Yeah. What is it? The Cherokee,
Navajos,
Yeah.
the Fadawis.
But so back to my point, right? So that's the human experience, right? We ingest information, and then we take this information and we create things in our minds, because everything begins in our mind. In every individual, everything begins in your mind, right? So in order to create these scenarios, what do? We band together in little groups. We band together in our families, and our families create these ideas, and then they move forward in these ideas. Pride in your, pride in your heritage, pride in where you're from and how you do things, right? And then in that pride, you're supposed to go out and make your family proud, right? And do things, right? You take action, and then you bring that pride back home based on your accomplishments, based on what you do. But that's the idea. The idea is that you take in this information, ingest it, you create scenarios in your head to motivate you. But other possibilities have come to pass throughout centuries, right? Because not only can you be motivated to go forward, but you can stunt yourself, and the fear of forward movement can happen. So all of a sudden you're like, I can't do that. That's too big for me, right? And then so that's become a real thing, right? So to go back to why people share their victories as opposed to their defeats, because I think when you share victories, there's a better possibility that sharing your victory would motivate someone forward as opposed to holding them back, right? To share your defeats is kind of it has the opposite effect. I doubt that is in any way going to motivate anyone forward. So I think as a result, that trend of sharing victories has become a thing. And this is just my theory. I could be full of shit right now, but
Sounds like it.
We're just.
It's a thought, though.
It's a thought.
It's a thought that possibly maybe that is why. But I think that when, for example, when Columbus left, you know, I think he was presented a task, and maybe he got lost and just bumped into what is now Texas, let's say, and was like, "Holy shit, look at these people," and then maybe brought him back. Maybe, I don't know. Nobody was there, right? It's all interpretation. And then now it's just dissecting everything. Like,
Sure.
it's dissecting. Oh, he kidnapped them and he tortured them and he gave them blankets full of smallpox and all this other stuff. Which I don't understand. It if they had one blanket of smallpox on the ship, wouldn't everybody on the ship get smallpox?
Well, I mean, it was said that Europeans develop certain immunities, right? Because when you're exposed to certain bacteria, certain
Yeah.
viruses,
That could be.
right? And then so the indigenous population
Right.
had never been exposed to any of these.
I mean,
viruses,
what
bacteria.
again? We weren't there, so we don't know. So what
Yeah,
if he
we
went and there was one person in the tribe or one person in the group that was like, maybe it's a rebel. It's like, I don't want to hunt for deer anymore. I want to go on that thing that floats on the water and see where they came from, and then
Which
convince
is totally possible.
convince 10 other people, and then they took 10 other people, and then now we are where we are. I mean, long story short, right? We don't know. We don't know what's going on.
We do not know.
But when you talk about when we were in school and like, you know, the books and reading things. I remember when September 11th happened, thinking, in 10 years, this is going to be massive historical,
Oh yeah.
you know, historical subject. And
21 years later.
it is, but I mean, now it's just like it's historical with so many different theories behind
Sure.
what happened and how it
Sure.
happened and who was responsible and who was there.
Crazy thing is, we have so much technology that has been able to record, right?
Mm-hmm.
Record the actual happening, and then all of the narratives, the different narratives that formed
Yeah.
after.
I mean, there's certain videos that I remember seeing the day it happened. I mean, because everybody was sending videos in, right? It's 2001.
Right.
It wasn't nearly as technological as it is now. But people were sending videos in, and all of a sudden, like an hour into the broadcast, they're like, oh, we're getting new footage. And then all of a sudden, somebody was like, video footage of the first plane hitting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you watch that, and somebody asks a question, like you can find it on YouTube, and somebody has a comment in there like, how do they know to look up at that moment? Like, I don't know, maybe because they're in downtown Manhattan and there was a 747 flying building high. I look up every time I hear a plane go over. Because you're in New York, and yeah, planes fly over New York, but
Right.
never that low where you can see the people through the window. You're like, what the fuck? And even the firemen.
Right.
Now that video, that clip, the firemen are like, they look up like that, but you don't think that, oh, the Trade Center's right there. And then you hear, and everybody in that video is like, what the fuck was that?
Right.
Because, I mean, I find it very hard to believe, and nobody will ever convince me that it was done on purpose by the U.S. government. I'll never buy it. Never. Not you, not anybody. Because where did those people go? Those people's families who were looking for them for years after that.
Sure. Sure.
What, did you pay them off and they're just really good actors? Where did the people on the planes go? You know what I mean?
There are so many different thoughts.
Yeah.
Theories that, I don't know. It's kind of hard. It really is hard to take it all in and formulate like a clear, for me anyway. You know what I mean? Because for me, when I hear possibilities, it's like, man, if I can't come to a conclusive thing or idea about it, then I just shut it out. If it happens, you know, what can I do? I want to come up with a concise, conclusive.
Yeah. I mean, it's
idea
easy.
of what
It's
the hell
easy
happened.
it's easy to hear something and then
Yeah.
like repeat it, and then
Yeah.
before you know it, everybody in your social group
Yeah.
now heard what you thought,
Oh shit.
and we're just gonna keep going.
What the hell?
But
Can we rewind that shit?
wow, just the world's falling apart.
Damn, we talked about the fuck, and look what happened.
The world's falling apart right now.
Jesus
Was there an
Christ.
earthquake?
No.
Now it's kind of weird lighting, kind of like this little. But
Dude, isn't that crazy?
think that's gonna be
Like, all
crazy
of a
bright right now.
sudden,
Yeah, you gotta. We lost that little thing around it.
Well,
So that
shit.
might be where we call this
yeah.
the end of the episode. So hey, shit happens,
Shit happens,
and
then we roll
sometimes
with
you
it.
just gotta roll with it. See how we didn't? There was no blaming. You know what? You know whose fault that was? It was Trump's fault that happened.
That was Trump's fault.
Damn it, Trump!
Damn
You
it.
knocked our light over because of something
Jesus
you
Christ,
did.
way different, huh?
It's kind of spooky.
Kind of.
Halloween.
It's coming. It's around the corner.
So anyway, on that note, we will see you another time.